How to buy a foreclosure or REO and what to expect. In today's video, we're going to cover one of the most favorite questions of the buyers. How can I purchase an REO or foreclosure? Let's get to it. Raja Tayeb, Fit Realty Services. Thank you very much for tuning back into our channel. Today we got a great topic: foreclosures, REOs, and what does it take to purchase one. Let's dive straight into the video. Perfect. So first, what's the difference between foreclosure and REO, right? So foreclosure, basically, it's a legal process when the bank forces a sale of a property from a borrower who stopped making a payment through a legal action and selling the property that's as a collateral against the mortgage on an auction, right? So foreclosure is lender, a government insurer, or a government agency is trying to recover a debt from a purchaser, okay? REO, on the other hand, is a real estate owned property where in United States, it's a term, it's a property class used by banks when unsuccessfully they did not sell a property on the auction and they had to take a possession of the property back. So what happens is the property first goes on auction. Usually the bank sets the upset price, the starting bid, at whatever the borrower owes, right? So let's say the debt is $500,000, right? So the bank will set a price on auction for $500,000 to recover their debt. Now, in the event the property does not sell on the auction, what happens? The bank will repossess the property and they will call it in their books an REO and it will become an asset, right? So that's the very simple difference, right? A foreclosure, it's the actual legal process where the bank is trying to sell the debt, and REO is when after unsuccessful auction is repossessing the property, putting it in their books as a REO, and it's classified as an asset. So that's the difference between foreclosure and REO. Now, since you know what the difference between foreclosure and REO is, let's talk about how can you purchase one, okay? They're very lucrative. Most of our buyers, the first question is, do you have any foreclosures? Yes, we do. But let me tell you exactly what is it you need to do before you get even into a mindset of purchasing one. You need to conduct your due diligence properly, because it's not a joke buying a foreclosure, right? They do come with tenants. You buy them as is. If there's violations, judgments against the property, you might have to assume all of that, right? So you need to be really well aware of what does it take to purchase a foreclosure. You need to be prepared for the worst nightmares, okay? So let's get into a conducting due diligence buying a foreclosure or REO. So conduct your due diligence. So before you even think about attending an auction, you need to roll up your sleeves and start doing some homework, right? So number one, pick a neighborhood, right? Know everything about the area. You need to become an expert in a neighborhood. And if you don't have time to learn about all the neighborhoods which you're interested in going to auction and purchasing properties, team up with a great real estate agent who's in the neighborhood, who understands the market, who knows what's available for sale. So you can compare, okay, this is what the market values are, who knows exactly what has sold, who knows exactly, what's currently under contract. So team up with a great real estate agent who can walk you through the market values and you can do your calculations properly, right? Educate yourself if you decide to keep the tenant in the property as a future tenant, right? Educate yourself what the market rents are. How can you do it? You can go online, you can go visit some other rentals, and again, you can speak to your agent to know exactly what the fair market rentals are in the event you decide to keep the tenant. Because keep in mind, most of the foreclosures these days, they occupy, right? There's the good things and there's the bad things. The good thing about the property being occupied, it's livable. There's someone living in the property, so the electric, the plumbing, the heating is working, the kitchen and bathroom must be in a decent condition because there's people actually living there and using it, right? That's a good thing. Second good thing is you might turn these tenants who are at the property to your own tenants as a paying tenants for your rent, right? So that's a second good thing if you decide to hold on to the property as an investment for some time if you're not looking to move in or if you're not looking to flip the property, right? Now, what are the downsides of the tenants? You never know what kind of tenant it is. Are they going to pay rent? Are they going to give you a hard time? Will you have to evict them, right? Because evicting proceedings here in New York City, it's scary. It can take sometimes 3 to 6 months to 1 year. So you need to make sure you speak to an attorney. You speak to an attorney, educate yourself. Look, there's a tenant in the property. What can I do? What are the options? So the easiest option is you convert a tenant into your tenant, paying tenant, if you decide to keep the property. Second option, if you want to flip the home or move into the property yourself, second best option is you speak to the tenant and you ask them, look, I just purchased the property. What it will take from you guys to move? Can I offer you a small fee to move out? Maybe help you with the security deposit, help you with the moving fees, help you with the broker fees. What can I do for you to, easily and comfortably move from my house that I just purchased to a new property? It'll be the easiest thing. But there's nightmares, right? Nightmares are nobody's opening up the doors, nobody wants to talk to you, and these tenants, they want to stay there for free as long as they can. Then you gotta hire a landlord-tenant attorney. And here in New York City, it takes between 3 to 6 to 1 year, depending on the scenario, and it can cost you between $5,000 to $10,000. So now you have to factor it in. What if you get this bad tenant who doesn't want to move? What are you gonna do? You have to budget for maybe 3 to 6 months of not being able to collect any rent on the property nor live in the property, right? So number 3, now, very important thing, one of the most important thing is you need to do a preliminary title search. Okay, I've done a great video with a friend of mine, attorney Shahid Ali, where I'm going to share with you at the end of the video when we talk all title, right? But before you even bid on the property or go to the auction, you need to do a preliminary title search that will reveal all the liens against the property, judgments, are there any unpaid water bills? Because keep in mind, you're buying the property as is, so assuming all the debt that comes with the property. So if there's any unpaid taxes, unpaid water bills, if there's a second possibility, if there's violations, there's Department of Building violations, HPD violations, ECB violations, you need to know the title of the property, what you're getting into, right? So very, very important. How can you run a title? Simple, through a real estate attorney or through a title company, right? And then the real estate attorney can actually walk you through and explain and answer all your questions regarding the title, okay? Next thing, you need to have your financing options in place. Unless you're purchasing all cash, right? If you're looking to buy the property with the financing, you need to have your lender's options in place, because to purchase a foreclosure, you have only 30 days to close. So you need to have a very clear idea who you're going to finance with, how you're going to finance it, right? Now the issue with some of the foreclosures is there's no utilities, right? There's no hot water, there's no heat, there's no electric, right? The banks don't want to lend against a property that we basically can't tell for sure if the heating is working, right? So you'd have to go through a special financing called FHA 203K, also called a rehab loan, or through a conventional renovation loan, right? When the bank basically gives you extra money to renovate, right? So yes, there is a possibility of financing a foreclosure. It's very rare because most of the banks, they understand, look, we don't want to waste time. We understand there's no access to the property. There's tenants, they're not allowing anybody to look at the property. Mostly it's cash, right? But there is cases where the financing is allowed. The property is already vacant and they got rid of the tenants, you can finance, right? But most of the deals these days comes with tenants. There's no financing, cash only. What can you do with cash only? You got 2 options, right? 3 options actually. You can bring in a couple of different investors. You can put up money together into LLC, and you can go ahead in a joint venture, right? Second option, you can use a hard money, right? When basically an investor gives you money for a very short period of time, you purchase the property, you rehab, you sell it, you pay them back, right? Third option is you can do a home equity line of credit, right? You own another property that's got tons of equity that you can take against the property, and you can purchase this foreclosure as well. So there's different ways of actually purchasing it, but you need to have a great lender, or you need to be very clear on how you're going to purchase the property, because when you get to the actual auction, things happen very fast, right? So you need to have the contractor in place that's going to give you a ballpark quote based on other neighborhoods, based on similar homes. So you need to have an idea, okay, if I'm redoing a kitchen, if I'm redoing a bathroom, I'm painting, I'm doing flooring, I'm doing lighting, what's going to be the ballpark number, right? You need to have a lender in place. You need to speak to an attorney to make sure he reviews the title, right? So there's a lot of prep before even going into an auction, right? So that's very important. You roll up your sleeves and you do your due diligence properly, right? Next thing is you learn about the neighborhood as much as you can, right? School districts, new developments, a crime, right? You want to make sure whenever you're investing your money, it's a good neighborhood. And keep in mind, you make money when you buy. So a lot of prep purchasing a foreclosure. Now, finally, how can you purchase foreclosure or REO, right? So there's two ways. You can either buy it online, or you can go to a physical live auction at the Supreme Court in the county when you're seeking properties, right? So let's talk about the online auction first. I like those much better because there's not that many emotions, right? Because when you go to the live auction, you've got a room of 200 people and sometimes the emotions just go high, right? While you're sitting on your computer, and the most important thing is you need to have a number in mind, right? You need to do all the due diligence which we have talked about, and you need to be very, very focused and disciplined with the number. Don't get your emotions, right? Emotions don't make deals, right? It's the math. And if the math doesn't add up that you're gonna make money, you gotta forget it, right? So be disciplined, have a number in mind. The nice thing about the online auction is they usually give you between 5 and 7 days. So you got time that's ticking down from 7 days down, and you see people bidding on the property, right? Usually all the action happens towards the end of the auction, right? So usually the last 2 hours, that's when actually everything happens, right? You see how many bidders, you see what's the highest bid, right? But how do you start? So number one, you create an account, right? There's two great websites, they call them online auctioneers. I'm gonna share with you. One is a Hubza, we're gonna put it down here, right? One is a Hubza.com, one is a auction.com. It's very simple. You create an account, and in order to enter a bidding room, you need to put a deposit on your credit card. On average, $2,500, $3,000 credit card deposit. You enter the bidding room. Keep in mind, you gotta be disciplined. Is what is he going to offer, right? And you just go with the flow. Somebody offers a little more money, you can do, usually it's increments of $5,000, $10,000. So that's an online auction. Very simple, right? You sit home in your living room on the computer and you just watch a bunch of auctions, right? The live auction, it's a little more difficult because now you have to prepare a cashier's check, right? So let's say you pick the property, your max price you're going to pay for the home is, let's say, $300,000. You need to prepare a cashier's check, certified check from a bank, written to the referee who handles the particular sale for 10%. So if it's $300,000, you gotta have a check of $30,000. And $300,000 means that's your top price you're gonna pay for the property. So let's say if the home sells for $280,000, they will return the money back to you, right? So number one, in order to enter the live auction, you need to have a certified cashier's check for 10% of the price you want to pay. But sometimes we see investors, they come with multiple checks, right? They come with a multiple check. You don't have time to go back in a bank, right? You cannot say, hey, hang on guys, I'm gonna go back in a bank, get a cashier's check. No. So sometimes you have many different checks for different properties, right? So you usually arrive about an hour before the actual auction. You check it into the proper room and you start for the auction to start. And again, stay disciplined, right? Make sure you have number in mind, and if you don't get your number, that's okay, you move on. These foreclosure auctions, they happen weekly, right? The online auctions are at all times. So I'll give you at the bottom over here a couple of websites where you can actually go. You can create an account, you can look at real estate owned properties, you can look at foreclosed properties, you can read more about it, right? But just, I'm going to give you a nutshell. How can you purchase foreclosure or REO? Number one. Number two, the list of due diligence that you need to make before even considering heading into an auction, right? And number three, the very small difference between foreclosure and REO. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to guys see you soon, and we'll talk later. Bye now.